Okay, so I'm not the next James Bond, but I'm still faced with a very important mission. If you've got 35 grand to spend on a car, it can be a pretty tough decision, and you only get one chance to get it right. But beware, because what starts out as a 35 grand car can soon end up costing you dear. If you fancy driving a Mercedes and you want some flash gadgets, like a stereo or air conditioning, it's all going onto the price. Before you know it, your budget's spiralling, you're cornered by the smooth-talking salesman and the bank manager's homing in. Yes, it's a rare thing to find a luxury car with all those little extras that you'd expect included in the price. And that's always been the big attraction of the Lexus.
This is the latest Lexus, the new GS300. There are two models in the range, both featuring 3-litre engines. The only difference is the trim. This is the slightly more luxurious SE model, and it'll cost you £34,000 on the road. But in this case, you part with your cash and you get a handsome list of equipment along with the car. 16-inch alloy wheels, a heated and electrically adjustable outside mirror, remote entry system, cruise control, electric steering column, dual air conditioning, electric passenger and driver's seat, front and side airbags, leather upholstery, headlamp cleaners and an electric sunroof.
And if the car's in a rather good mood, it'll make you a cup of tea and do the ironing for you as well. So it's packed with equipment, but what's it like to drive? Under the bonnet you get a 3-litre straight 6 that feels very torquey thanks to the variable valve timing. And it's as quiet as anything, you can hardly hear it. The engine feels smooth and powerful every time you accelerate whatever gear you're in, and switch the 5-speed automatic gearbox into sports mode and you'll get up to 60 in a very respectable 8.5 seconds. The top speed is 143 miles per hour. Just perfect for those quick getaways.
Yes, they may throw plenty of extras at the GS300, wonderful gadgets to make your life as a driver easier, to take some of the stress away, to give you a real European driving experience. And they do give you lots and lots of equipment, far more than you'd get from any other manufacturer for the same money.
But sometimes less is actually more. Lexus have filled the GS300 with loads of equipment, but they've forgotten to give it a personality of its own. This isn't the kind of car that you could become attached to, because at the moment, it's the spy who came in from the cold, when what you really want is a spy who loved me. Mission aborted. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Twenty-three-year-old Natalie Barrat is one of Britain's most exciting new rally stars. This year she's been competing regularly, notably in the Mobile 1 Rally Championship. But for any rally driver, the ultimate goal is to drive in the British round of the World Series, the RAC Rally, or to give it its correct title, the Network Q Rally of Great Britain. But how did Natalie get started?
Went to university about 5 miles from Silverstone and a couple of my mates raced. So I started off getting my racing licence. Did that for about 3 months with the Silverstone Driving Centre, and someone said to me, well, why don't you have a go, you know, more proper racing, and they offered that I could take part with them in their team for the XR2 Challenge for the remainder of the year, and that went okay. Then someone saw me one day and said, well, why don't you have a go at rallying? And it didn't really appeal to me, but I had a go and I absolutely loved it, and that's it. I haven't looked back since.
It's all changed for Natalie on the Rally of Great Britain. Not only has she swapped her Group A Honda Civic for a four-wheel drive, flame-spitting, turbocharged Mitsubishi Lancer, but she also has a new co-driver, Stella Boyles. As practice for the main event and to enable the new pairing to get used to each other, they're entered in the final round of the 1998 Mintex National Rally Series, the Bulldog Rally, based in a very wet Shrewsbury and taking in the same mid-Wales stages as the World Championship. Due to appalling weather, most of Wales is flooded, and it's a very cautious Natalie we find at the start.
I'm not going to go at it like a bull in a china shop. I'd be stupid. I just want to get round, see how the car handles, and just slowly get into it. Because a lot of these guys, some of them are going to fall off today. It's the last round of their championship, and they're going to be going at it. So I just tootle around for the first, probably about 3 or 4 stages.
Well, as you can see, the weather's perfect.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Right. So left 7 here. 40 over crest. Left 3 into right 3. Into open left 7. Logging. 60. Care. Left 4. No cut. Into left 2. Oh shh. It's okay. 150.
Although the rain is relentless, making forest driving treacherous, Natalie seems to have few problems as she arrives for service in the Welsh market town of Vokins. As her support team check the car, she reflects on the morning's sport.
It's probably the wettest rally I've ever done. It was just absolute thick mud. But and it was foggy on the last stage, but no, it's good, it's getting better.
With no problems reported, the team head off for a blast through one of the most famous rallying arenas in the world, Dyfi Forest.
Right 2 plus pilot. 100 up the middle. Left 1 into turn, hairpin right. Okay. Shucks. Okay. First one, if didn't done that, that'll be okay. 200 up the middle.
Natalie emerges from Dyfi, and straight away the team can tell that all is not well. In mid-stage, the gear knob came right off in Natalie's hand.
The original one.
No problem for the efficient mechanics, and they soon have the car ready again. One last forest stage stands between the team and their first finish. On the start line, co-driver Stella gives Natalie a few final words of encouragement.
Right, we just need concentration. Last stage, okay?
Yeah.
No problem. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Right, go, go.
With the placing of 34th overall and winning the award for top lady driver, it's been a successful day.
To caution, left 5.
2 weeks later, and the team's final test. The waiting is almost over. How did she rate her chances on the 1998 Network Q Rally of Great Britain?
Good. Best I felt all year. We've done everything we can. We've tested in Wales, doing the gravel test. We've done a rally, which is how it's really going to be on the RAC, wet and slippy. We've come here today to do some tarmac testing on gravel tyres and gravel suspension, and we're having a great day actually, but I just can't wait to get going.
Here I am in Malden in Essex, and I'm surrounded by these stunning Ferraris. But I'm not here only to have a look at these stunning machines. I'm here to meet the man who lives many a boy's boyhood dream. It is engine builder and restorer Terry Hoyle.
After leaving school, I went to work for a Formula One team, Gilby Engineering, Sid Green and his son Keith Green. And I worked there for a year or so, and then I went to Cosworth. Now, most people have heard of Cosworth Engineering, Formula One and other things. Loved engine building, always have loved engine building. Stayed there for a while, then went to Ferraris, Maranello concessionaires, who were the concessionaires for the Ferrari cars, now known as Ferrari UK, but this was in the 60s. And I stayed there until I got married the first time round. I asked the Colonel for a rise so I could buy a house. He said, people work here for nothing. And with that, I left.
Was it always a desire of yours to work for a Ferrari then?
Well, I think it's every schoolboy's dream to want to have something to do with Ferraris, preferably own one, if not work on them or look at them. So yes, it was all perfect for me. And then when I left Ferraris, I went to Ford competitions in the engine shop, built London Mexico engines, London Sydney engines, all the rally team. And in the 70s, 72, I left there and started on my own in Malden. And from that we built rally engines, won the World Championship, won the British Championship, European Championship, all the boring championships with rally engines, did the Works Quattros, the Works Fords, and I was able to buy my own Ferrari because it was always a dream. And then one thing went to another, and I ended up doing more classic Ferraris than rally engines. And that's the way the business has gone now. We are now totally committed to Ferraris on this side of the business and Rolls-Royce Merlin engines on the other side of the business. We no longer do any rally engines. We're too busy with what you see here.
So what's your preference? I mean, I know you do quite a lot of restoration.
Well,
what do you prefer?
The older Ferrari cars to restore. I mean, obviously we service the modern ones, but they haven't quite got the same passion, haven't got quite the same history, or the interest for that matter.
So where did the love of building engines come from?
I don't know. It's just at Cosworth I was trained properly to do the job properly and always have been very, very interested in engines. I like the cars, but I like the engines far more.
Now, Terry, this one's a bit more of a racier model. In fact, lots of photographs that you see of Ferraris, you do see this one in them, don't you?
Yes, very famous car called the 250 GTO. There was only 36 made in 1961, 62. Very expensive, fairly rare. They all still exist.
Now, I know you restore the cars a lot of the time, but have you ever wanted to race yourself?
No, not really. I've been very fortunate during my life to go with very professional, experienced drivers. And when you sit alongside them, you realise you haven't a clue, really. You think you're quick when you're going to work and being Jack the Lad, but when you're actually sitting next to a professional, you realise I'm better with the spanners than I'm driving.
Well, Terry, I've discovered this one, and although it's red, it's definitely not a Ferrari. So what can you tell me about the history behind it?
This is a Maserati 250F, 1957, Formula One car from that era. People like Fangio drove it very successfully. Not this particular car, but a car like it. Yes, super car. It may not be a Ferrari, but it's still a super car.
So what are you doing to this particular model?
This one, we're going to take the engine out. You can see it's on the hook now. We're going to take the engine out. It has water in the combustion chamber. We know that from our bore scope. And then we're going to remove the transaxle and all the suspension and rebuild it all. We won't touch the bodywork or some of the, like the instruments and the dash. We won't touch that at all.
So what will it be used for after that?
I'm not sure. I think it may be raced in historic racing in this country, but my customer has just bought it. He cannot sell it on with the water in the engine and with a slight transmission noise, so my brief is to make it right and then he'll decide what to do with it.
I mean, it's quite a unique car, isn't it?
It's a very special car. This particular car was used as a test bed by Vandervels for the Van Wall, which became an all-conquering British car, and this Maserati was sold by Maseratis to Vandervels, less the engine, purely as a test bed. So this car is quite famous, yes.
So what do you get the most satisfaction from?
I suppose really working on the dynamometer. So once you've built the engine, you put it on the dynamometer, you test to see that your work is what it's supposed to be, and you sometimes can allowed to do some development. Depends on what the customer wants. But that's the interesting part for me, to see it actually work and happen to breathe. Every engine we build on the premises, we bring in here and we set up so we can run it in, set the ignition timing, set the carburation, chain tensioner, that sort of thing. And if need be, we can do some development. But every engine we build here goes on this test bed.
So is this where you will find out if there's any sort of major problems at all?
Yes, we find out if there's any major problems, if there's any oil leaks, any knocking, or something we're not happy with. And if we're not happy with it here, A, the customer doesn't get it, and B, we wouldn't put it in the car anyway.
Do you still do the work on them yourself?
Sometimes engine work. I like to tune carburetors. It is one of my sort of fortes. I like to tune carburetors, especially the 6 twin chokes. I don't get under cars now and change gearboxes and clutches and axles. I like to think I'm too old for that now. Yeah, not my scene really. Engine, keep to engines, I'm fine. I'm currently working on a Formula 1 engine myself, getting my own hands dirty, not a problem.
Well, after all that noise and looking at all of these fantastic cars, it's time for Terry and I to take it away and have a spin. Take it away, Terry.
My latest assignment is an 8-day appraisal of the Jaguar XJ8 saloon. Live with it, they said. Go and have some fun. Treat it as your own car. Do some nice things with it. Oh dear, this is going to be difficult. That's nice. Very nice. Good grief, there's so much in this car. It's a real flight deck. Lovely wood and leather. I'm going to enjoy getting to grips with this car, I can see. This is Jaguar's XJ8 4-litre saloon, using the normally aspirated AJ8 engine. This 32-valve, 4-valve per cylinder block develops a thundering 290 brake horsepower. Mated to a 5-speed auto box and using traction control, it hurtles itself towards the horizon in a blazing 6.5 seconds 0 to 60 with a top speed of 150 miles per hour and costs in the region of £40,000. I've been enjoying this car for 4 days now, and enjoying is definitely the right word. It's a great car to have outside the house. It's amazing how many friends you have when you turn up in a car like this. It's also an incredibly rewarding drive. On the downside, my only 2 complaints are about the wisdom of choosing those wheels, which look out of place in a car of this quality, and also the turning circle, which could be tighter. I found my 3-point turns turning into 5 or even 7-point nightmares. By the 8th day, I'd covered close on 1,500 miles in glorious air-conditioned comfort, alternating between the stereo and the fabulous V8 engine noise for company. Apart from the music coming from the engine compartment, my other lasting impressions were of the sheer quality of the car, its finish, the way it felt, and its subtle and understated elegance. This is a British car we can be proud of. Economical too. Average MPG, according to my computerised captain's log, was just under 21. Overall then, a fabulous car, and one I really didn't want to give back. Now where can I lay my hands on the spare 40 odd grand?
Hello there, Roy Brooks here. Welcome to my rather cluttered garage, but a fair interesting bit of clutter here, as I'm sure you can see by just looking at the background. Right, got a lovely item for you today, and here it is. How do you like that? Not really the watch, because the Rolex, I can't afford one of those, that belongs to the producer. So let me put that to one side, but the box. It's fit for any Rolex, isn't it? But in fact, it's a box of electrical spare parts for a Rolls-Royce. There we are. Isn't that lovely? and you can see the contact breaker point there, the moving one, the fixed one over here, and that's the carbon brush. There's 3 more brushes there for the 3-brush dynamo, and the 3rd brush, as it's called, then that's the thin one, and that's to be adjusted for the amount of output from the dynamo. The 4 coppery ones, those are for the starter motor. Well, if you happen to see one of these in a flea market or an auto jumble and it's only going for a few quid, I would pick it up and then try and sell it. You could make your holiday in Mallorca. Hello there, this is Roy Brooks here, telling you about a very interesting event which is going to take place on Sunday, November 29th at the G Mex Centre in Manchester. The Northern Classic Car Show, and the 4 Wheels programme is going to be there. It could well be, you know, that you've got some mysterious motoring object, you don't know what it does, where it's from and so on. We're delighted to try and sort it out for you. So, we look forward to seeing you at the Northern Classic Car Show, the 29th of November, that's a Sunday, and believe me, you'll have a good time if you go along and see us. So, cheerio!